Okay, so yeah, we are WindMill Microlending, as I said. We used to be called Immigrant Access Fund. We changed or rebranded to WindMill Microlending in August of 2018. So in case some of you on the call may have family or friends who had accessed the loan from Immigrant Access Fund, it's still ideally this very same organization, just the name that was changed. So as Molly said, our program is an option to funding your education. By option, I mean if you cannot access an Alberta student loan, if you don't have access to, or maybe you didn't qualify for a student grant or scholarships or a student line of credit from the bank, then we would be an option to help you fund your education. So how we do that is we provide low interest microloans up to a maximum of $15,000 to immigrants to help them pay for any Canadian licensing that they need to do in order to start, restart, or advance a career in Canada. What I mean is maybe some of you on the call came to Canada with experience in business administration from your home country. And then when you land in Canada, then you're told that, oh, maybe your credentials or your experience are not at par with the Canadian standard. And then they might require you to do maybe a couple of courses or anything to be able to put your credential and your experience at par to the Canadian standard. So in that case, we would be able to provide the money or the loan to help you pay for any of those expenses. And also all immigrants whose occupations fall under regulation have made use of our loan program, because in most cases they don't qualify for an Alberta student loan. This could speak to, for example, physicians or any of those regulated professions. So we have been around since 2004. So it's not a new organization. We are tried and tested. To date, we have assisted over 5,000 skilled immigrants and refugees by providing them these loans that have enabled them to be successful in Canada in the careers that they had before coming to Canada. Having said that, we have disbursed up to over actually $35 million in loans. The organization was started by Dr. Marie Erickson, and I know, you know, most of you or all of you on the call have ridden a taxi where you discover that the taxi driver or the Uber driver was had a very, very fruitful career in the home country, but when they come to Canada, because their credentials are not realized, they often find themselves working in underemployment or working in survival jobs. Just as a way, you know, to start the journey getting back into their profession. So that's how Dr. Marie Erickson started the organization, after finding out that most of the janitors that were working at the hospital that she was working at were actually renowned physicians, renowned surgeons in their home countries, and she and her friends then organized the first 6 loans that they were able to disburse to the janitorial staff, and that's how the organization started. I said we are a nonprofit, so we are actually funded by the government of Alberta, Ontario, and as well as private donations from corporates, from individuals, you name it. We do have 5 offices across Canada. So the head office is here in Calgary. We have offices in Toronto, BC, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and Montreal. And as I said, the program is available online. So this is something that we as an organization are actually very happy about, because when the disruption that was caused by the pandemic happened and everyone had to go into remote working, because our program was available online anyways, the disruption to our service, there was actually no disruption. So you can access the loan from anywhere in Canada, but you do have to meet the eligibility criteria, which I will get into in the next slide. So you might be wondering what makes our WindMill loan unique. I remember when I came to Canada as a newcomer and I wanted to get a credit card, because my cousin kept telling me that I needed to get credit to be able to, you know, to rent an apartment or things like that. I had been hesitant because where I come from, we didn't have credit. So I went to the bank, but the bank would not lend me, would not give me a credit card because I did not have any Canadian credit history. So they actually required me to get a prepaid credit card where I would have to put some money down. So at WindMill Microlending, we understand that, you know, clients could be very new in Canada, that they might not have any credit history in Canada, that they might not be employed, or they may be underemployed. So maybe they're just earning barely minimum wage. We also understand that clients would not be able to bring certain assets from their home countries, to be able to secure a loan. And we also understand that as newcomers or as new immigrants, they may not know anyone who would be able to be a co-signer on a loan. On the other hand, established financial institutions would require potential applicants, regardless of where they're coming from, to have Canadian credit history, to have stable employment, meaning you have an income, and in some cases they may require you to have a co-signer or access to secure a loan. So at WindMill, because these loans are character-based loans, we are very relaxed on that restriction, because at the end of the day, what we want is for our clients to move from underemployment or from being unemployed altogether to being gainfully employed, and to be able to succeed in Canada. So to be eligible, one needs to live in Canada. So that means you're living in Canada as a permanent resident, a Canadian citizen, a provincial nominee, protected person, or a convention refugee. One must also possess post-secondary education from outside of Canada. So this means that the applicant either completed the equivalent of grade 10 or grade 12 in their home country, and they also have skills or experience related to their career goal. Although now we actually allow people to change careers altogether, and our loan policy has been updated to also assist those clients who do not possess formal education but want to pursue occupations within industries such as the trades. So the loans can be used to cover a number of expenses, but at the end of the day, those expenses should be associated with a learning plan or an education plan. Having said that, we will support any training or education that is a maximum of 2 years. So unfortunately, this disqualifies undergrad degrees. But if someone wanted to pursue maybe a master's degree that will take 2 years, then they would be able to take the loan to pay for that. So essentially, certificates, diplomas, any continuing education courses is what the loan can be used for. The loan can also be used for any licensing and qualifying exams. So if your occupation was regulated, for example, or if you needed to write a certain mandatory exam within your industry, then you could also help, use the money to pay for that. The loan can also be used to pay for language courses, qualification assessments, travel expenses to take courses or exams, maybe in another province or in another city within Alberta or any other province. You can also use the loan to buy books or course materials or work equipment for some professions that need students to have their own equipment. Professional association fees, another thing, and relocation costs for employment. So if someone is in possession of a job offer, say maybe you got a job offer in BC from Alberta and you stay in Alberta, you could apply to WindMill Microlending for a loan to help cover those relocation costs for you and your family. And then if someone is working, remember I kept talking about most of our clients working in underemployment. So usually that means people are working long hours, so they have long days. And if someone now wants to pursue either a certificate or anything to get back into gainful employment in Canada, it might mean that they have to let go of certain hours so that they have time to study. So if that happens, then we will allow a client who is working and reducing their working hours to apply for a loan to be able to cushion them for the shortfall that they will be losing by dropping off a couple of hours of employment. And then lastly, the loan can be used for any professional development courses and to pursue any career change options that they would be wanting to pursue. So our terms and conditions, if someone borrows less than $7,000, then the repayment term for the loan becomes 4 years. If they borrow more than $7,000, then the repayment term becomes 5 years. So it's depending on how much money you borrow, but always bear in mind that below 7,000, it's 4 years. Over 7,000, it's 5 years. And then our interest rate is calculated by adding 1.5% to the RBC prime rate. So to date, it's currently at 3.95. And because we are a charity, we do not charge any administration fees or any charges at any time. So if someone wanted to pay off the loan, once they do their learning plan, once they get fully employed in the industry, they can actually pay off the loan with no penalty whatsoever. And if any additional money is needed, that can be taken, but only if they have paid back what they had borrowed in the first instance. So I did speak about our loans being low interest microloans. For people who have been accepted into Canada as refugees within the last 3 years, so within the last 3 years from like 2020 and then 3 years back, then they would not pay any interest on the loan. The loan becomes an interest-free loan, but this is only applicable to refugees. They would only pay back the amount they borrowed. So the interest on that loan, because we're a nonprofit, you might be wondering, so how does that work where we give low interest loans but do not charge any interest for refugees? So the interest for a refugee loan is still paid, but it's paid by a community donation by a guarantor of pool. So someone out there in Canada is still would be paying interest on a refugee loan, but the applicant themselves would not pay that interest. Our impact since 2004 has really been remarkable. What we have seen, and I know you probably heard me speak about unemployment survival jobs. By the time our applicants finish their learning plan, so if they finish their certificate, their diploma, their course, their designation, whatever the case may be, by the time they finish that, their income usually triples, because now that qualification or whatever they were working towards allows them now to be gainfully employed, and usually that results in them tripling their income. Our repayment rate is also 97%. That doesn't surprise me because the bulk of our clients are really, really hardworking and they really, really are determined to make a success out of themselves in Canada. And as I said previously, we have disbursed over 35 million. So it's actually 36.9 million that we have disbursed to date. And we have approved over 5,000 loans. So as I had said, the application is available, the program is available online. So the application process, everything happens online. And the application process is will take 2 weeks from the date of application to the day that you receive your decision, whether you have been approved or not. And part of that application process includes an assessment, an employment assessment, where you are just required to fill in a couple of details, and then you would be required to do an interview with one of our success coaches. And basically the interview is just an opportunity for our success coach and yourself to go over your learning plan, just to make sure that it's realistic, just to make sure that it's achievable, and also just to make sure that you're pursuing something that will actually lead to you finding employment. You're not pursuing an occupation that is that would be, say, maybe eradicated within the next 5 years due to technology. So basically, it's just to go over your learning plan to make sure that you certainly are on the right path. So that's just a screenshot of what the application would look like on the website. You wouldn't need to print anything. So you're just filling in information and then submitting everything online. So you don't need to print anything and then mail anything. There would be none of that. Everything would happen online. So it's fairly easy. And then that is our address. So as I said, Calgary is the head office. So we are on McLeod Trail South, Suite 709, 15 McLeod Trail Southwest. However, as you all know, our offices are temporarily closed and we are all working remotely from home. So the best way to get in touch with us would be to send an email to info@teamwindmill.org. I'll put the email address on the chat, or to give us a call at our toll-free number, which is 1-855-423-2262.